We're going to check out Casual Geographic's Why It Sucks to Be Earth's Oldest Genius. I think there was like a squid or an octopus on the cover. I think. Also, I said cover instead of thumbnail. Wow, that's weird. I'm also not sure because there's a lot of weird shit in the ocean, so it could also be incredibly disturbing. I don't actually know. So we're going to just jump right into it and see where this goes. And before I forget, I did actually forget to set a goal today. 10 super chats. That's fine. 30 minutes. Give it 3 hours. Chat. Chooses. Wow, I cannot speak or type today. Next vid. All right, usual one. If there's something you want to make sure I get to today, this will be how. Also, ooh, J-Dog. J-Dog Slim even. Got jealous. Welcome to the Beardington level of the membership. Oh, dude, thank you, man. Also, Louise said mustard. My God. Let's jump into this one. I'll edit this down later so the talking about the chat won't be in the actual video. Unless I forget, in which case, God damn it, future me. You did it again this week. Remember to set it to live chat? Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Thanks, Bill. Moving on. Actually, I'm just going to leave a like right now. That's a dislike. I meant a like. Yeah, I'm going to forget later, so I'm just going to do it. I know it's Casual Geographic. I'll like it. I'm leaving a like now. Oh, and Zero to Nova jump scare with 50 euros? What the fuck, man? Dude, you did that last week. Stop. I don't mind, but also, that's a lot of money. Save some of it for yourself. I don't mind, but dear God. Again, same thing I said last week. If you need to reverse it, do it. YouTube allows, I think there's more like a day. So please take your time, man. Damn. Yeah. Martin says Zero choose the next video. He very well might, actually. Oh, God. And let's start up.
No friends, no family, no wife, no life, under...
I'm sorry. Did that seal just fish slap a kayaker? No, squid slap a kayaker? Or octopus?
No friends, no family, no wife, no life, underlooked, you're chronically cooked, abject, inept, disrespect, and often neglect. For an animal allergic to love, nature sure did consummate their misery.
Squid?
The octopus is a high-functioning...
Oh, it actually isn't. Wait, octopus. Octopuses have camouflage? You know, I actually knew that. Why did I forget? Okay.
Overachieving tentacle slug. As a mollusk, they have a...
What was...
misery. The octopus is a high-functioning, overachieving tentacle slug. As a mollusk...
It was walking. It was walking on what looks like just 2 or 3 tentacles while holding the rest of it up. Sorry, I have never seen this. This is actually freaking me out a bit.
As a mollusk, they have a family reunion more confusing than Nick Cannon's, where they have everything from a venomous anime fighter jet to this thing.
Yeah, that's actually its neck and its foot. It's how it digs in sand. I forgot what they're called. Yeah, they're basically a style of clam.
Which means the octopus is basically an overqualified snail that lost its shell and had to overcompensate. Now, they do have a lot going for them. They wouldn't have lasted 300 million years of reverse plot armor otherwise, but call it cosmic calamari the way they get absolutely deep fried by fate. They're built like malicious compliance. Like the boss's brat demanded an octopus and the developer had no choice and did so out of spite. You're gonna learn that the animal sans a skeleton got entirely T-boned by nature.
I did not know octopuses can go out of water. Okay.
It all starts when they're born. Octopus might just have the worst predator spread of any animal. Anything from cod, sharks, dolphins, stingrays, seals, sea lions, sea birds, sea otters, sea stars, eels, other octopus, and especially humans will...
Other octopus even? Of course, everything's cannibalistic in the ocean. I didn't know sea stars would be able to catch them, though. They must be really small when they're born.
I'll put an octopus out of order in the name of protein. Dolphins will even tag along stingray hunts to allow the ray's electroreception to lead it to a hiding octopus. Mind you, stingrays are like 2D sharks, and them and dolphins pulling up is like if the Reds and Blues of Los Angeles took the day off to go boo the Clippers. But
the Reds and Blues of Los Angeles? I mean, I get booing the Clippers. Even I get that reference, although I'm more used to the Browns. But Reds and Blues? I get the Reds because... What's the Blues, though?
Dolphins don't need help humbling an octopus, as dolphins have been observed tenderizing the underwater 8-foots by repeatedly slamming them. Sea lions got the same playbook, as they'll swim to the surface and also maul the mollusk, serving Suplex City so hard it wakes the ghost of Hulk Hogan. It's how animals with no forks or knives can tear it into bite-sized chunks. But it also means octopus might as well be born with a shake before use label. But on the surface, it can look like an interspecies drive-by. Those are far from the only things that violate octopi. Sea otters are like waterproof wolverines that'll rip.
So we're exactly almost 2 minutes in, and all I can say is, how are octopi still alive at this point? Because those were not small ones being murked.
In the octopus like candy. In some
also, the human one makes sense because I've had octopus before, and when it's prepared well and not made too chewy, it is actually delicious. I'm not saying it doesn't make sense. I just don't get how they're alive still.
spots, they get targeted by the scissor jaws of the bobbit worm, a worm literally named after a woman who demembered her husband with a knife. More
Oh. Tremors was based on reality. I did not need to learn that today. I will do a lot of drinking tonight to unlearn this. This was the octopus video. Why is this now the most terrifying thing I can imagine?
remembered her husband with a
also,
knife.
Yeah, Lorraine Bobbin,
Moray eel are a common octopus, and they even have a second set of jaws in its throat to keep struggling prey.
And now I'm learning that the double jaws from Aliens is also based on reality. I'm seeing a pattern here that every time Casual Geographic touches on the ocean, my faith in reality is just renewed. Specifically, my faith that it is fucked up and terrifying.
In its custody, which seems like a suspiciously specific middle finger to a certain boneless entree. Even the things that seem like an easy lick can game over an octopus. In real life, Squidward would have had Mr. Krabs meeting Miss Puff's husband first chance he got. Crabs are like the potato chips of nature, and one-on-one, an octopus isn't losing that matchup unless they happen to get cheap shot by forces beyond them. But that's for one crab. An army can easily overwhelm and eviscerate the octopus, who manages to suffer from crabs while only being—
Damn, Gregor's going to town on that octopus. If you get the reference, you're as addicted to Limbus Company as I am.
Screwed by fate. They have a similar issue of getting jumped by leather jackets. And I don't mean a bite gang. I mean literal fish eating it alive. Some octopus will try their luck against an unassuming shrimp until they get served an appetite suppressant in the form of a bullet fist. It's so bad, it's confirmed octopus have night terrors about being eaten, with some filmed going from deep sleep to suddenly thrashing and inking themselves. And if PTSD ain't bad enough, octopus can OD.
Octopi dream, and we confirmed it because they've been witnessed having night terrors. This is probably going to be like the orangutan video where I'm honestly kind of wondering if they're at the level of sapience that we probably should start giving them rides, because being there enough to understand your reality and have night terrors means you're there enough that you might actually need them.
On that same ink. I was not kidding about malicious design. Imagine your biggest hater being your own creator, because the octopus seems to be at war with its own anatomy. Let's count the ways. Octopus will use ink as a smokescreen to escape, but if they can escape their own bomb, they'll suffocate and meet Nemo's mom. Self-toxic ink is—
So they can't even hide in their own ink because it would suffocate them. I mean, I guess for a lot of predators that would suffocate the predator too, but still.
Just where it starts. Octopus got no bones, no armor, no nails, just a massive chewy gelatinous protein. They do have a powerful bird-like beak, but a hitbox that small and a hurtbox the size of Madison Square Garden is deplorable design, and their build means virtually any shot you take is a headshot. Another thing is, octopus have 3 hearts, one central and 2 branchial hearts to pump blood to the gills, because apparently—
I'm assuming we're about to find out why that's a bad design, and I'm not actually sure how that'll work. Okay.
300 million years wasn't enough time to make one cell functioning. And while that's kind of a joke, what isn't is the fact that them swimming fast takes so much energy, the systemic central heart literally stops beating. They count on cardiac arrest to get to where they want to go. Meaning an octopus can be swimming for its life. Even at maximum effort, their best attempts are half-hearted. Octopus proved that a lot of us had evolution wrong. It's not survival of the fittest. It's just barely being good enough to keep the wheel going. And if—
I mean, to be fair, the other way I've heard evolution be described is not survival of the fittest, but breeding of the slut. That's not even a joke, because if you have a lot of kids, that means your genes were strong enough to pass on. Except it does. It just means you had a lot of kids and something else didn't. So you could actually overwhelm a population with bad genes if you just happen to have more kids to pass on. Because genetics aren't, this is good. It's, this isn't dead, so cool. What happened here? Yeah, when you really get into it, it's weird. There's no actual good or bad. It's just fucked up shit happened. How does it work out?
That doesn't prove it, their brain does. Not intelligence, I mean the literal donut that has its esophagus running through it. Octopus risk brain damage every time they eat, and they're always a piece.
That's... I heard about that. I thought that was a joke, like a meme on 4chan or something. They just happened to get spread around. They actually can... If they took too big of a bite, they'll just damage their brain. This honestly seems like the beginning of a villain arc. It's like, we were destroyed by our creator, and now we must make them all suffer. Oh my god, this is literally justified at this point.
Of food too big or too sharp away from factory resetting their entire personality, which is why they have the razor-sharp radula, the answer to a problem they never even asked for. That's not the only thing that can bring on cephalopod CTE. Since octopi can't thermoregulate, sudden changes in temperature can also cause significant brain damage for an animal that lives in the ocean. But remind me to get back to that. But none.
And because how the seas are warming, there's probably big bursts of changed water because the surface will be significantly hotter than the lower section. So if they go too high or too low too fast, they probably get fucked. I said earlier, I have no idea how octopus live, and now I'm just doubling down on that. I legitimately have no idea.
None of that can top the fact that nature gave octopus a built-in self-destruct button. Senescence is the process of deteriorating with age, the withering of functional characteristics in living organisms.
It's like when you start thinking that Facebook is actually a good thing, you know, you're pretty old at that point. This is what it looks like in humans.
Basically what kids think turning 30 is. It happens to everyone, but nature...
Joke's on you. I was already having this issue in my 20s. That's not a good thing, is it? Oh. Well.
Nature chipped octopoda with a kill switch. It's no secret that making babies is the last thing an octopus will do, as the process seems to give both parties dementia, as they lose all sense of self-preservation. Symptoms of senescence include lack of feeding, skin around the eyes retreating, white lesions forming, and awkward, uncoordinated movements, almost like they have no purpose beyond this point. But some seem...
They literally just go into dementia after having a kid. Did I mishear this?
Senescence include lack of feeding, skin around the eyes retreating, white lesions forming, and awkward, uncoordinated movements, almost like they have no purpose beyond this point. But some seem to actively crave the sweet release, since captive octopi have been seen trying to rush the process by banging into sides of their tank, tearing off pieces of their own skin, and even getting their tentacles tangled. And it all begins with these two guys.
Oh. Also, that last bit is more just, if the tank is too small, we've seen it other animals like lions and other large primates, or even some small ones. Captivity is not good for a lot of them. Sometimes the open air places are better, but if an octopus would try and brain damage itself just to get through captivity, between that and night terrors, unironically, this is... like, there's probably an argument to be made for giving them rights. I said earlier it's speculative, but now it's almost justified. If you could recognize captivity and then try to escape it by killing yourself because that is preferable, even that there is a preference at that point, this is kind of fucked up, man.
They're small, but they got big plans. Those are optic glands, and they're the double agents that lie dormant between the brain and optic lobe until they get active, usually around the same time the octopi do, and it's believed this triggers them to produce more steroids and boost cholesterol. Specifically, scientists saw more activity in the genes that produce neurotransmitters called catecholamines, along with steroids that help metabolize cholesterol. What does that all mean to you? Well,
and that last second, that thing he just said right there, this is probably why there's a lot of pharmaceuticals who are probably looking to octopi just for this exact second.
Catecholamines, along with steroids that help metabolize cholesterol.
What they just said right there is probably the basis of at least a dozen drugs I don't even know about that are probably on the market under names that I'm never going to be able to pronounce without maybe summoning a demon by accident because it sounds like Welsh. I stand by what I said. That is impressive and terrifying.
What does that all mean to you? Well, catecholamines are hormones like your epinephrine and dopamine, basically the fuel to your fight or flight. And in Octopus, their job is to redirect energy away from eating and, keeping themselves alive and put it all into raising their own, especially since that same optic gland will also secrete stuff to turn off digestion, which is why they starve to death. Not only that, but neuropeptides are what causes appetite and hunger, and they
So in other words, it's literally a chemical reaction to prioritize the young. And considering how fragile they are, I can see why this stupid design is what works. Because you need almost absolute suicidal dedication to survive as an octopi. There doesn't seem to be any other way to do it. This doesn't so much seem like evolution as more, fuck you, evolution, we didn't die.
They get turned off too. Yeah, they put the op in optic. It's a gland, but that optic got a lot of nerve. Because in 1977 in Brandeis University, psychologist Jerome Wodinsky removed the optic gland from a mother 2 spot, and the outcome was they abandoned their eggs, continued feeding, and lived longer. It's literal predetermined self-destruction, and it's the worst kind. The Australian anti-kindness has a similar fate, since
anti-kindness, really? Oh god. Also, ooh, jazz funk. Here's my payment for today. Please stop contacting my family, lol. In all seriousness, you're chilling fun. This is yet another cool and awesome political donation for a vintage story. I know you brought that up. I might have to add that into tomorrow's then. Also, your family will be safe for now. For YouTube reasons, that is a joke. For real life reasons, it's also a joke. Or is it? Dun, dun, dun. There's probably actually one person listening to this right now is going, he did what? Honestly, if we're lucky, it's only one person.
Males will mate themselves to death, and an increase of steroid hormones in the blood is how the kamikazes can go all out. Those same steroids also nerf the immune system and eventually cause a total body shutdown as they get poisoned by their own supply. But at least when that happens, they've mated with as many females as possible.
I mean, that's horrible, but also there's probably a bunch of guys going, makes sense. I mean, I'm not saying I disagree, but still. Ooh. And J-Dog Slim, 5 memberships. Thank you very much, man. Nice. 5 gifted memberships. Ooh, neat. A bunch of new people in. That's cool.
Octopus is very much one and done, and that's why it's survival of just being good enough. You can end up lobotomized by your own dental. As long as it happens after you breed, that's strictly a you problem. And evolution can't save you from one of the most toxic relationships underwater as long as it ends with children. Yes, worse than the anglerfish. First of all, they barely tolerate each other. Lady Octopus will respond to male harassment by chucking shells like it's Mario Kart. Just when the male thinks he's in the lead, there's a blue shell for his blue balls. It doesn't get much better if Squidward succeeds, since many males are dwarfed by their mates and run the very real risk of being cannibalized, leading to some very questionable mating methods. The blue-lined octopus will inject his mate with a venom while on top, a venom called tetrodotoxin, arguably the most potent neurotoxin out there. It obviously doesn't kill her, but it does make the female angry enough to yeet the male off her back. Once she's functional again. That's why male octopus have a venom gland 3 times the size of a female's, because ducks have a coital curly fry to force the issue, while the octopus clearly listens to Rick Ross. There is a catch though.
I have no idea who Rick Ross is, and I'm assuming I don't want to. This is like the opposite of the orangutan video we just watched. The orangutan video was like, these are really cool animals, but they're also super smart. And these are really cool animals who are super smart. And everything about them is just looking at nature and going, why do you hate me? I thought that was a joke at the beginning, but no, it seems to be incredibly accurate and terrifying. And considering some of the self-termination habits that he already highlighted, I think that some of the animals agree.
Male doesn't envenomate her in the exact right spot. She can wake up early, and the best case is he gets some of his arms torn off. Of course, some like the Argonaut say screw it, literally, and just hand the female his baby arm and swim away. A physical invitation to go feel yourself. After mating, the male basically waits to buy tickets to a Tupac concert. They go AFK, just a catatonic state where they move like an NPC. Also, post-mating males don't return to their dens. They don't even wait for death at home. They just circle the corner anticipating its arrival in the form of sickness, starvation, or getting turned out by a predator. The mother doesn't get off easier since
it's literally an entire species whose survival philosophy is The young survive because everything is eating us instead. God damn.
She gives up her entire existence the moment the eggs come out. She'll spend all day washing them with her siphon and guarding them, all while not going out to eat once. Mothers will eat their own arms before they leave them alone for a second, and that hunger strike can last years. One deep sea octopus brooded eggs for a total of 53 months, just under 4.5 years. It was by far the longest brooding period of any animal, and she even turned...
To give an idea, I think humans are 9 months before birth. Granted, that's only just before the baby is actually external, so I'm not sure if that counts. And according to chat, the young also eat each other. I mean, they are delicious, but damn.
Found crabs offered to her by researchers. Like all octopus, once the eggs hatch, the babies swim to the surface and spend their early days drifting the current. And if motherhood doesn't murk her, the sheepus just waits for something like a pack of starfish to put her in her place.
Starfish?
That place being past tense. It's the worst outcome of any mother, worse than cheetahs, hyenas, and even the sea louse. The payoff is all the kids she spawns. The giant Pacific octopus can have over 100,000 eggs, and some like the cyanea.
And that's why they could probably survive, because like I mentioned earlier, it's not that you have a good life period, it's that you have so many kids that enough survive to keep the stupid going. And that is very much here. Also, if they survive to have more than one brood, that would probably actually be a detrimental amount of animals at that point. If 150 is the base, like, if they survived and there wasn't cannibalism of the kids themselves, which is a terrible phrase to say on YouTube, but at least for octopi, it's like, yeah, understandable. That much breeding is intense, man.
Can exceed 500,000. With all these sentient grains of rice, about 1 or 2 will live long enough to repeat the cycle. Because as far as
oh, never mind. I thought there'd be hundreds. Apparently it's 1 or 2. That's barely reproduction safety numbers, or population management numbers, I think the term is. For example, if you have 1 kid to 2 people, that's a reduction by half. 3 kids to 2 people increases it, and 2 for 2 people is just keeping population steady. That is not work. How are these animals even alive still? Like, it has to literally just be, we put out so many eggs, eventually more than 2 come out.
Evolution's concerned, that's enough. From egg to adult, the octopus's short life isn't a total show.
Oh.
It's a septic symphony.
Yeah.
And the biggest insult is the wasted potential. The octopus got straight up cheated. Almost like someone knew there were a few changes from an obnoxiously overqualified sigma slug seriously bending the natural order. Octopus don't have hands, but they do have arms, and they'll throw them, with reports of octopus suffocating threats like dolphins and sharks. Specifically, an octopus was caught shoving its arms down the gills of a pajama shark, nearly putting it to bed permanently. And speaking
Oh yeah, that was the gill and the So yeah, the suicidal bravery of the octopus is the only reason they survive. And then just the not bravery part.
Sharks, that matchup isn't as one-sided as you think. In a Seattle aquarium, one octopus earned himself solitary confinement, and the reason was, staff kept finding the bodies of dead, butchered dogfish sharks all over the tank floor, until cameras—
Wait, dogfish are sharks? Oh. I'm just used to them being like a nuisance thing in the harbor. I didn't realize they're actually a type of shark.
Caught the neighborhood octopus, murking any sharks that were put in the tank with him. Octopus will square up with sea lions with everything they have, and even ship-sinking stellar sea lions can struggle with a vindictive hors d'oeuvre.
How big are those things? To give you an idea, you could stand up in a catamaran of this size. Well, maybe not a catamaran, but a boat of this size. I did not know sea lions get that large. That is unironically terrifying.
Even the symbol of America can get it, and there's at least one seagull with octopus in its obituary. Not to mention Neptune's hitman has enough awareness of human anatomy to attempt to play hangman. But the octopus's biggest flex is their shape-shifting. Octopus have the ability to change colors, despite being colorblind. It's said that their skin may be sensitive to hues, shadows, and colors around them, and can conform to their environment. Some, like this cyanea, can make hundreds of transformations in a day, but one octopus does this on steroids. The mimic octopus can not only cosplay as other animals, it'll purposely
oh shit, yeah. Like, this one looks more like a small stingray than anything else.
Exploit their own fears.
Oh.
If a mimic's getting harassed by some punk-ass damselfish, it'll take the form of a venomous sea crate. And if the block's real hot with
how? What the? That's just
some punk-ass damselfish, it'll take the form of a venomous sea crate. And if the
okay, that there's a mimicking a shape, and then there's just looking like something completely and utterly different.
block's real hot with predators, the mimic mirrors the biggest threat in the area, a lionfish. But you can have all the tools in the world. It means nothing unless you know how to use them. And few things alive are as nice with the tools as the 8-armed handyman. The coconut octopus got its name because it'll appropriate the shells of the fruit as a travel-sized panic room, pretty much re-equipping the shell that time took away from them. Some will go incognito by using shells to hide in plain sight. They don't know,
and still giving them a small layer of defense. I wonder if we just dropped a bunch of swords, we just find out later that octopi started using them. I'm not even sure that's a joke either. Ooh, also White Run Guard. Thank you very much, man.
always use tools to avoid problems. Some, like the blanket octopus, invite them by stealing Portuguese man-of-war tentacles and practicing ocean open carry. And
they steal man-of-war tentacles. That's one of those you do not fuck with it jellyfish. I know just enough to know that I don't want to know more because the stories exist and I don't want to have nightmares about them again. And these guys just grab them? I mean, sure, if their life sucks that bad, fuck it. There's no downside to that.
And as predators, some have learned to drill holes in prey in the exact spot needed to neutralize them. They say octopus have the intelligence of a 3-year-old, yet man's moving like a pre-med major, and it's probably
I mean, if you ever met a 3-year-old, they know exactly how to make something hurt.
because octopus don't have one brain, they have 9. Each arm basically has a mind of its own, meaning 2/3 of its own cognition lies outside its own head, with over 2,000 suckers that all move independently. 8 arms that can independently learn more about the world around them. A cornucopia of consciousness, a borderline hive mind.
Essentially, they'd have multiple parallel lines of thought then if they're all working independently. Which is in its own right terrifying how that would work out if you actually... There's probably someone out there trying to learn how to integrate multiple lines of thought in this method.
I forgot about that temperature problem, right? Well, octopus can edit their own RNA based on how hot or cold the water around them is. It's basically a built-in thermostat that protects them from breaking their brains. All that brain power is how...
I'm sorry. The RNA is the part, not even the cell, but like, it's incomplete DNA, essentially. It's half the strand, but meant intentionally. It's been a long time since I've done biology, but they can edit itself. I mean, we know genes now are actually reactive and not set for life. So if you have certain environments, it will turn on or off various genes based on your interactions with, well, reality. To what extent is debatable, but mostly because it might depend on the person. But I've never heard of anything changing its own RNA because I thought that was actually a set in stone thing. This is not what I was expecting.
A snail's uncle is smart enough to solve problems.
You're watching a baby octopus riding a jellyfish. Oh, so that's the jellyfish behind it. That's the octopus on its head. Okay, sure.
And in some cases,
wasn't sure what I was looking at.
Some octopus have learned not only when and where crabbers will show up, they'll time it just right to where they'll swipe the crab from the trap, disrespect Steve, his name's Steve's, entire livelihood, and vanish, leaving behind corpses. Octopus can also tell people apart, and sometimes they'll end up having beef with one in particular, and will squirt them and only them. Some don't even stop at people. Otto the octopus decided he didn't like an overhead light, so he climbed to the edge of his tank and shot water at it, causing the entire aquarium electrical system to go out. And he did this night after night, repeatedly, until folks caught on.
This is one of those few things where I'm honestly wondering if giving an octopus in captivity an iPad might actually be interesting. Or a giant TV-sized iPad, just to see what they would do. They can make them waterproof at this point, so why not?
I'm not telling you how smart a Second Amendment slug is. It's because they could and should be smarter. Most high IQ creatures have 2 things in common. They're social.
See, I disagree with everything in this last image. He was showing people. And if I've learned one thing from having existed more than 5 minutes, we do not count.
and live in groups, and they live long. And sometimes those two things combine to form number 3. They're led by a grandmother. This means not only can they spend years and even decades learning, they can pass it down, building a generational database of knowledge.
And octopi can't because their parents essentially murk themselves to get kids. So there's literally everything they know is learned or instinctual. So the fact that they're this smart is actually terrifying in its own right. You know, there's probably someone out there who's looking into genetic editing to see what would happen if they made an octopus that toned down the response to kids. Like they did the test he mentioned where they just removed the part of the brain that made them stop eating and they started taking care of themselves again. There's probably someone's like, hey, these are the genes that do it. What happens if we tweaked them so it was intermittent? So like some days they'd still feed themselves. You do that and we get superpowered octopus within like 5 years, it seems.
Octopus get none of that. Every octopus is born an orphan. It's like a video game with no save points. So every time an octopus passes, everything it learned along the way goes with it. So every octopus after it has to start from scratch, which puts in perspective the insanity of what they accomplished in 2 years. And that's another thing.
Is that an octopus riding a shark? That is an octopus riding a shark. Okay. And I'm being told to stop, abort, bad thoughts, Airier, no in chat. I got no idea what we're talking about. It's not like that's a terrifying thought that we are all absolutely certain at least one billionaire with more money than Sense has probably invested money in. Tell me I'm wrong. No, please tell me I'm wrong. I want to believe that I'm wrong. Do not tell me I'm right. Do not confirm my stupid idea. Even though I'm half convinced someone will do that.
Only get a couple of years. The intelligence of a 3-year-old just to end their trial to life after 2. If octopus lived longer, lived in groups, and weren't literal deadbeat parents, I'm talking like the Batman kind, it could get scary. And that's why I say octopus got screwed. Change 1 or 2 things.
Just an octopus murking the most venomous fish? Wait, what was that fish?
Mankind. It could get scary.
It's a dead fish now.
That's why I say octopus got screwed. Change 1 or 2 things, the entire food chain might fall. Like imagine if octopus just did the turtle thing and just climbed onto a beach, dropped their eggs and dipped. And it's not like octopus can't climb out of water. They can breathe through their skin for a short period. And
wait, really? Oh, I thought they were just good at not suffocating on air for a bit. Like how fish can be in air for a few seconds without dying. Apparently they have air breathing through their skin. I know there's other animals that do that. I just didn't realize.
They'll use this ability to take lives on land. So why not create them? Except the soft-bodied cephalopods would probably get put on a shirt before they got far. If only they had like a shell or something to protect them. It's a shame nature never came out with anything like that. Yeah. And then imagine if octopus worked together. Humboldt squid scare me for the specific fact that they kill in packs, and there has to be at least one human who was jumped to drag to the abyss and hate crime by the...
So basically it feels like squids took the buffs that octopus avoided, but didn't get the intelligence to the same level. But it worked out a lot better for them.
Antichrist calamari clan. But aside from violence, imagine what a group of like-minded octopi could do. They might mess around and start a renaissance. In fact, what if I told you it's already started?
What?
In 2016 in Jervis Bay off the coast of Australia, scientists found a...
You know what? I'm not even going to say anything right here. Just, yeah, Australia. It's like terrifying background music. There's something happening in the water. And it's casual Geographic talking about water, so you already know it's terrifying. And of course it's Australia.
Non-human settlement containing residents of gloomy octopus, up to 15 of them living on dens on top of scallop shells, doing everything from hanging out, communicating, to fighting, procreating, and even evicting particular offenders from their den. It's like an octopus suburb. It's a cephalopod community, and scientists named it Atlantis. And it's not the first. Octopolis was discovered in 2009, except Octopolis was founded around a huge human-made metal object.
And if these are just the ones we know about, there's always the chance that because the ocean is so large and so little of it is mapped, we might actually be working on incorrect information right here. Kind of like the lone wolf thing where we thought wolves were solitary predators or cats were solitary individuals. That's wrong. So if we're finding a few of these, there's always a chance that maybe we've just missed the fact that the vast majority of octopi are actually social and maybe got over these defects and we just haven't found them because we're not looking in the right place. Most of the earth is underwater. It's not unusual we missed it when we don't even know everything above land we can get to. Also, when I mentioned the cats being solitary, as hunters, yeah, they are solitary, but they're colony animals. That's why when there's a bunch of cats together, they form colonies. They raise each other's young. They are social. They're very interactive. they're not solitary animals. Some are, but most aren't. It's the same thing with wolves. When you see a lone wolf, it's not because they're the alpha, they're the most powerful. It's because they were kicked out and told to die. It's a death sentence from wolves to be a lone wolf because you're not going to survive when you're a pack hunter. So I'm wondering, maybe we're actually getting confirmation bias where we're assuming the standard by seeing just what the outliers are. It would also make a lot more sense why they still exist when their entire life seems to be, you're going to get fucked. I could also be very wrong, but I put more money on the other one just because if there's a few in different places, it would make sense that maybe there is a way for them to survive.
They're not actual cities. It's just cute to call them that, but you gotta ask, what are they cooking? One can only pray they don't F around and invent capitalism. Because the last way octopus got screwed by nature isn't actually natural, but it's by humanity. 300 million years of character development just to end up in a glass box is brutal. And thanks to pretty privilege, good luck getting the public to care about their mental health the same way they do with cats and dogs.
I mean, to be fair, I met enough people who don't care about pretty things as well, so even this is failing off.
Despite arguably being just as smart. And if an octopus can have nightmares and predator PTSD, safe to assume they suffer from being confined to a fishbowl, just like orcas. Except orcas are a lot louder about their displeasure. In fact, there's a really good chance octopus are fully capable of catching feelings and forming attachments. Remember that next time an influencer tries to mukbang one still alive. I guess what I'm trying to say is...
I'm sorry, they do what? No! I mean, humans are omnivores. We ate everything, so it's hard to feel bad about it. But when they're still alive? Dear God! That's the difference between, okay, you need to eat, versus, I like pain. That's just fucked up, man.
Octopus deserve way more credit than they get. They're really out of this world.
Well, so
and
small.
Maybe that's why the world tries so hard to remove them. But yeah, that's gonna do it for this video. Drink water, hug your mother, buy my book, spare a thought for the old octopus. And I'ma see y'all in the next one.
It's like they
Hundreds of millions of years of character development.
It's like Davy Jones.
They look like googly eyes. They look like they painted on.
Just to get done like this, painted on googly eyes. Actually, that's not even wrong. I've seen people paint eyes on models exactly with these proportions. It is literally what it looks like when you don't know how to paint.
It looks so fake.
So some other aerobic team just came before and just left it here.
It's like some little kid dropped their toy.
Honestly, if it wasn't moving the tentacles slightly, I'd actually think it was fake as well. Note, this is a stubby squid, not an octopus, but close enough. Oh, at least there's that. It probably has a much nicer life for it. So we have now completed what I am referring to as the casual geographic is awesome, and if you ever see anything about water involved in these videos, it will scar you for life, as opposed to everything else, which might scar you for life. The might is the factor there. It's like, that is the most fucked up animal, the most intelligent, the most cool, but also the most, oh my god, what are we actually looking at? Because it's like, they're cool and fun and smart, but also, nature screwed them. Like, thousands to 100,000 eggs, someone said, and maybe 2 survive? It's why I'm wondering that earlier thought about how if we found a couple colonies, maybe that's the norm, and we just haven't found the big ones yet to justify there being survivors. Because it seems like an animal that... eventually, something will change, or more likely some stupid asshole will edit their biology such a way that they aren't immediately going to murk themselves by having kids. I just... I don't think I'm going to be able to eat calamari. I mean, squid, yeah, because I don't think they're really as smart. That does matter. It's the same thing with eating a primate. No, fuck that. Or a cat and a dog. If you've ever been with cats and dogs, you realize they're smarter than most people. Not saying cats or dogs are smart, though. I know what I said. I mean, also, it wouldn't be that hard for me to go vegan, considering my general diet is already pasta? Cool. Cheesy bread? Cool. Actually, that is a significant proportion of my diet. Have you ever had a moment where you realize you almost went vegan without realizing it because your general diet is beer, cheese, well, not vegan isn't cheese, so maybe more vegetarian, beer, cheese, pasta, marinara, pretzels, and anything American packaged probably doesn't count as food, so you just consider it's vegan anyways, because you actually think about what it is, you're going to probably throw up. So, yeah, that's actually a little weird for me. Huh. Also means I probably need to differentiate my diet. Yeah, that's not important. More importantly, though, you guys know the deal. There's a link below to the original video. It's cool and fucked up, and yeah, that's the thing. Yeah. I'm going to make sure never to think about any of this again. There will be alcohol consumed later. Yeah. See you guys in the next one. Adios.